Today we're going to touch on a subject that probably everyone has tried. If you haven't tried it, you should probably try it. But it's a pretty simple thing to do, and that's freeze drying milk. If you haven't freeze dried milk, well, I'd suggest you try it. It's pretty simple. The hardest thing about freeze drying milk is not spilling the milk in your tray. And if you haven't done milk, or if you haven't done liquids yet, the easiest way, and there's two ways. One is you put the tray in the Harvest Right freeze dryer, you pull it out about 4 inches, and you slowly pour the milk into the tray. Now the key about this, and about all liquids that you freeze dry, is you want to make sure that your shelf in your freeze dryer is level, going, say, left to right, but then your freeze dryer going forward and backwards is also level. So sometimes you need to shim the legs of the freeze dryer to make it level from, say, north and south, and then from east to west is going to be the tray itself. The more level your freeze dryer is, the more milk you can put into your trays and not have it spill. The second way of doing that is the same, is putting it in a freezer, a chest freezer or an upright freezer, pouring the milk in there, pre-freezing it in your freezer, and then transferring it to your freeze dryer. But you still have the same problems of making sure that your trays are level. So with that said, milk is really easy to freeze dry, but what this video is going to focus on is what do you do with your milk once you get done with it? How do you reconstitute it to get a quality product back? I have given a lot of my grandkids freeze-dried milk, and when they take a taste of it, I get a face. You know, that face like, eh, what is this? So we're going to delve into this. It's going to be somewhat technical because we really want to find out the best way of reconstituting freeze-dried milk so you get something back and your grandkids or your friends or family or whoever won't give you the face. So here we go. During this video we're going to be mixing grams, or I should say we're going to be mixing US measurements with metric. Metric, as much as I don't like it, interchange with each other with different weights and masses a lot easier than the US method does. So we're hoping that this is actually 1 gallon. It could be more, it could be less, but we're going to make the assumption this is 1 gallon. Well, in each gallon there are 4 quarts, and in each quart there's a 946 grams. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on. We're going to go from ounces back to grams, and we're going to put 946 grams of milk in each tray, and then we're going to measure it when we get done. The more accurate we are, I think the better the outcome of our finished product is going to be. I'd like to think that this is the rest of the story, if I can pull a line from Paul Harvey. So there's 946 grams, which is also the same thing as 4 cups. And if I actually look at my measuring cup, which I don't know where I got my measuring cup, but this is actually a few millimeters, about maybe 1/8 of an inch under the 4 cup mark. So that's one of the reasons why I want to be very accurate on here, because we don't know about the filling machine that packaged this or the person that printed this. So that's why we're going to be very accurate to try to get a good outcome. So we're going to do this 3 more times. The milk will be all pre-frozen in my freezer, and then it'll go into the freeze dryer. So this is my last serving of milk to pour into my tray, and it came up at 1100 grams, and I'm putting 946 grams in each tray. So this is actually, I got 154 extra grams of milk in this gallon jug. And that's one of the reasons I want to be a little bit anal on this project, because I just want to give you guys the best information possible. So this is how much extra milk I got over 1 gallon. Yeah, it's enough to eat my pancakes with. This is our whole milk right out of the freeze dryer. Now, each tray had 946 grams. We went ahead and weighed it because we found out that when we used this measuring cup was not accurate. And another reason why we weighed it, when we were finished putting exactly 1 gallon, 1 quart in each tray, we found out we had quite a bit of milk left over, just almost a cup worth. And so measuring by volume can be accurate, but can have some of the flaws. Now, this is supposed to be whole milk, and according to the sources, this can have anything from 3.25 to 3.5 to 4% milk fat. So for argument's sake, we're going to go on the basis of 3.5% milk fat in our whole milk. There's two purposes for why I made this video. One is, how are you going to store this milk? We have jars, we have bags. The other issue, number 2, is how are you going to reconstitute this milk? Because if you reconstitute it where you put too much water in it or not enough, and you give it to your kids, well, they're just going to end up making faces. So how accurate can we be in bringing this milk back so it is as good as the milk that came out of the jug? The first thing we're going to do, we're going to determine how much water was removed from each quart of our trays. I'm hoping they're going to be all the same, and if we can determine the exact amount, that's going to make our work much easier. We have our scale here, and we're going to see what the net weight is in the first tray. The results is 112 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh each of the trays and see if each one is 112 grams. Here are the contents out of our trays, and it went pretty good. This had 112 grams, 112 grams, 112 grams. This one had 113 grams. So we're pretty consistent in the dryness and the amount that we put into each of the trays. So the question now is what do we do with this? Do we put this in bottles? Do we put this in bags? And when it comes time to reconstitute it, how do we do it? Do we go by volume or do we go by weight? Well, I want to show you a problem if we go by volume. We're going to take the contents of one tray, which is 112 grams, and we're going to put it into this measuring cup. This measuring cup is 4 cups to see how much powder we have. Pretty simple thing. This is also 112 grams of powdered milk. This is 1.5 cups. This is 3 cups. So when you measure your powdered milk, what are you going to use as a measuring? Are you going to, if you use 3 cups of this, then your milk is going to be twice as concentrated as it should be. So this is the problem with volume. Measuring powdered milk is not a good way of doing it by volume, because which volume do you use? The 3 cups or the 1.5 cup? This is why when you reconstitute many items, you have to go back to weight. This is 834 grams. This is the amount of water that we removed from each quart of our whole milk, which is 3.5% milk fat. This right here is 4 cups of water. Now, I've seen some people on different sites taking a quart of freeze-dried milk and putting that into a pitcher and then adding 4 cups of water to reconstitute it. Well, that's all fine and everything, but you got to remember our milk started out at being 3.5% milk fat. So if you put 4 cups of water in with your powdered milk instead of the 8.34 grams, well, the difference of that is this amount right here. This is 84 grams of water. And so by doing that, if you put 4 cups in with your freeze-dried milk, you're now taking your delicious whole milk at 3.5 grams down to 2.7 grams, which is closer to 2% milk than whole milk. Now, am I being a little bit anal? Probably so, because what's the difference between whole milk and 2% milk? Well, it comes down to the taste. And if I'm going to be living through the zombie apocalypse, I want my whole milk, not 2% milk. Our next step now is to reconstitute the milk. And we're going to step away from grams because some people have a hard time understanding the relationship between the English and the metric system. So, technically speaking, we have 4 ounces of freeze-dried milk powder here, which is the same as the 112 grams we took out of the trays. Here we have 834 grams of water, but in this example it's 29 ounces. So we got 29 ounces of water and we have 4 ounces of freeze-dried milk powder, and we're going to go ahead and mix them into the pitcher. Now, one other thing about this is hot water. Well, it's kind of warm to hot water. One thing you got to remember, that in with this milk powder is the milk fat. It's 3.5%. If you try to reconstitute your milk by using cold water, the cold water and the fat is not going to mix very well. You need to use warm or tepid or hot water. That will help break down the fat and mix better with it. After that, you can go ahead and chill it in the refrigerator, but it's going to make it a lot easier to mix these together with hotter water. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator and chill it down, and then we will have the taste test. We kind of touched on this earlier about the volume of milk powder. So I have a quart jar here, and we have 1 quart of freeze-dried milk. And one of the things I found it easy to work with powders and jars is freezer wrapping paper. So we're going to take milk and we're going to put it into the jar. So you can definitely see there's a problem with this, that a 1 quart jar doesn't really hold 1 quart of freeze-dried milk powder. So you might want to consider throwing this through a food processor. That might be easier to work with. When storing freeze-dried milk, you might want to consider using the bag. Lots of room to spare. Getting ready for the taste test. Okay, I have the lovely and talented wife with me that she's going to do the taste test. So we have 5 glasses, and you got to tell me if the milk is freeze-dried or or regular milk. Okay?
Okay.
This is the first one.
I bet this one's freeze-dried just by the look of it.
Don't take it out. Okay.
It's actually pretty good.
Okay, so you got that taste in your mouth. Now try this one.
This is the regular milk. It's still has more body to it.
Okay, try this one.
Freeze-dried but good. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Okay.
Well, real milk, but the first clue is that it's cold.
Okay, so which one do you think are freeze-dried and which one do you think is regular? Do you
First one, freeze-dried, regular, freeze-dried, don't know, regular.
Okay, you want try that one again.
Freeze-dried. It's still good.
This is the one you said you didn't know.
Absolutely. Well, if I'm going to guess, I'm going to say freeze-dried, but really there isn't that much of a difference. The regular milk taste has more body to it. This is all whole milk, correct?
Yes.
It's all whole milk. The freeze-dried tastes more like maybe 2%.
Okay, so we got freeze-dried, regular, freeze-dried, regular, regular.
Say that again.
Freeze-dried, regular, freeze-dried, regular, regular.
Okay.
Test number 2. Okay, this is the second taste test. I got my granddaughter Liesel.
Sup?
So, okay, so taste them and we'll go through them and you tell me if you can tell the difference.
So what's the ratio to freeze-dried to non-freeze-dried?
I'm not going to tell you. You got to figure it out.
Okay, fine.
Okay, here's the first one. Taste that.
Alright.
Don't drink it all, just taste it. Okay, you got that one. Here's the next one. Okay. Any thoughts on the first two?
Freeze-dried, not freeze-dried.
Try this one.
Not freeze-dried.
What makes you think it's not freeze-dried?
First one left a weird residue. Like, not unpleasant, but like, almost like when you eat a milk candy and like, that kind of thing.
Okay,
So.
try that one.
I'm not sure about that one.
Not sure about that one. Try this one.
Freeze-dried.
Okay, so this one you thought was
Freeze-dried. Not freeze-dried. Not freeze-dried. I think I'd have to taste that one again.
okay, this one. Okay, so this one is what?
Freeze-dried.
And this one is
Not freeze-dried.
so this is regular, and this one you not
I'm
sure.
pretty sure that was regular, but
Okay, let's try that one.
it's regular.
Okay, so freeze-dried, regular, regular.
And then freeze-dried regular.
This, and then you think this is freeze-dried?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure about this one. I think it's freeze-dried.
Okay, you
I'm
think
not
this
sure.
is freeze-dried, and this one.
Freeze-dried.
Okay, so we think this is
Freeze-dried. Not freeze-dried. Freeze-dried.
okay. So
I think. I don't know.
you think this is freeze-dried, regular, regular, freeze-dried, freeze-dried.
I think so. I'm not sure about the fourth one, in all honesty.
Okay, you want to know the results?
Sure.
This is freeze-dried, and this is freeze-dried.
Okay.
Okay.
So I got one of them.
You got one of them right.
Two of them, actually. The second one is regular.
That's correct. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
So I was able to stump my granddaughter, but my wife was able to pick out the freeze-dried milk versus the regular milk. So try it at home, see if you can tell the difference. I still think it's important that you need to mix your milk powder and your water together by using weight and not volume. So try that and see what happens. I always thought I had a pretty good palate. So when I taste these, I cannot tell the difference. And as a disclaimer, I've not had COVID, so I still have my sense of taste. But to me, these are exactly the same. I can't tell the difference between the two. I think they both taste really good. And so there you have it. So try it yourselves and give me some feedback. Now, when I was growing up, I was raised on this stuff. I grew up during the 60s, and I was a powdered milk kid. And I thought this is what milk tasted like. You know, the good old nasty aftertaste milk. It wasn't until later on that we acquired a half share in a cow, and I had to go milk a cow before school and after school, and that was the first time I actually had a chance to taste like raw milk with all the fat, with all the cream. And to me, it was like drinking a milkshake compared to this stuff here. And so if I drink this stuff nowadays, it's like I can tell the difference in a heartbeat. Because powdered milk, because it has to be non-fat to go through the process, just does not taste the same as this stuff here. This isn't really scientific by any means. It's only a sampling of 3 people. So my wife was able to figure it out. My 15-year-old granddaughter could not figure it out. So anyway, try this at home, see how it works out with you. If you can tell the difference or not, I think the best way of reconstituting milk is by weight and not by volume, because the powder can settle and it may not be a good way of doing it. So anyway, I had fun doing this. Try it, see what happens in your home. Thank you for your time, and I'll send you another video soon. And as always, please subscribe.